welcome to another episode of Control Alt Access. It's a video and audio video game accessibility podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Laura. I'm here as ever with my lovely co-host, Arevia. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Laura. How are you doing?
We're getting by. We're powering on.
It's like changed from last week. This week is your turn. This week is your turn.
Yeah. Yeah, without getting into specifics, in the last 24 hours, I found out that my books aren't allowed in one American state anymore, and that was, that's been a lot to process,
Yep.
but it's also been a week of a lot of really cool accessibility stuff, so we got cool stuff to focus on.
Yes,
Hooray!
we have been starved at this start of the year with news, and all of the suddenly everything came at the same time.
Yeah, GDC has been a real treasure trove of stuff, but also at least one release we've both got a lot of stuff to say about.
Yes.
But you've played a lot more things than I have this week. Where do you want to start with stuff you've been playing?
I think we can start with some of the shorter things. So I wanted to start with, I talked a lot about Avowed last time, and I was quite critical, deserved critical, I think. The criticism,
I think so.
Yeah, but I wanted to say that there is a new update to the game. So I posted my YouTube. So I'm back making YouTubes. Yay, me!
Yay.
And I posted my YouTube, which was 3 things I hate and love with accessibility in Avowed. And while I was editing, a day before I got to publish, there was an update to the game. And that is that one of the actually biggest accessibility problem I had, which I'm glad it is an update for, is that you now get thicker font. So they have made the font thicker. So now if you are playing it while you're sitting away from the screen, or you struggle with seeing thin fonts, you will now be able to see it. A lot of people ask me because they saw that, but they are large text in the game. You can have the UI to be large. It is possible.
Yeah.
But if you stretch something and if it's too thin and you have it on a white background, when you're too far away from the screen, that will glide together. So now with getting a thicker, a bolder font on all documents, everything on the UI, even tips and tricks and everything, it's so much easier to read. So GG. Avowed. GG.
Also, as a person who makes videos online, I understand the joy and also annoyance that comes from I've almost finished a video and then something I said that was correct is no longer. My favorite one of those is still a couple of years ago when I did my accessibility improvements we need to see this year, and one of my big points was it would be really great to see PlayStation announce their own accessibility controller. And in the 2 days between finishing editing and when I was going to post, they announced the Access controller, and I was like, well, I gotta remake this.
Yeah, I ended up should I remake it? And I was just nah. So I put in a really little outpost of me in, when you edit, you look like a gremlin, where you're sitting a little goblin. And
that's what I did with mine as well, the hastily edited goblin shot.
Where you're just you look like hell because you've been editing for 12 hours straight, and you're just well, you know what? F everything I just said. It's an update, but I would still want to keep it in.
Look, it's great when there's news that's important enough you have to be editor goblin on screen.
Yes, when you see this non-makeup, really 12-hour of tiredness face, you know it's a good update. I also played a game called One Lonely Outpost. It's where you get sent to a new planet and you sort of are going to start doing Stardew Valley things, but there is no one there. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that you could do your controller, and it was quite an okay controller scheme to be able. And also one thing that was quite cool was that a lot of the options from Stardew Valley that were optional to put on, that a lot of people didn't know about, how if you go over to use your watering can, you can, if you go into the options, get a little square where it shows where you're going to water. These things were just automatically in this game.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, a lot of things like that. A lot of things of showing inputs on screen and stuff like that. The sad thing about this game is that the story just takes too long to start. I was almost 2 weeks into the game and almost nothing had happened. And at some point I was just you know what? I like myself some chill. but it needs to be at least
Hmm.
some action happening.
I I was talking to someone about this game a couple of weeks ago who was having the same experience as you.
Yeah.
Of finding it just like a little too slow paced and not quite enough to be doing along the way.
Yeah.
Have I talked about Wanderstop on this on Control
No.
Alt
No, I
Access?
don't think so.
Uh, so I'll very quickly talk about this. Wanderstop is it's a third person sort of farming game where it's all about making tea in the woods for magical visitors.
Oh.
Um, but it's also a farming game that, like One Lonely Outpost, is meant to be sort of slow and meditative.
Yeah.
Um, in this case, it's because you are a warrior who used to be the greatest warrior in the world, and then you lost a fight, and then you tried to build your way back up, and then you lost again. And what becomes clear very early on is this is a story about burnout, of
Oh, yeah.
trying to push through burnout, and the universe telling you no, the only way you're going to get through this is to slow the hell down.
Oh.
Like to the point of like her sword doesn't become heavier, but she physically can't lift the sword anymore,
Yeah.
and it is like it's the you need to rest and recover. Um,
Oh my
that
god.
is a game. That is a game I think you might really enjoy if you're looking for that kind of slow-paced, chill, farming sim that's just a little more to do while it's
Yeah.
slow.
And it's so funny you say that. I went to the gym the other day, and I try to go to the gym once a week to just keep up like my health, right?
Yeah.
And when I was in my burnout, I was on half the weight I normally do.
Yeah.
Like, and I already do quite low weights. Like, I'm not strong at all. Like, we're talking like
Mm.
1 to 2 to 5 kilos on the weights I'm doing. Like, I'm a weak one. I'm okay with that. And like, I couldn't
Mm.
even do that. And I am out of my burnout now. Went back to the
Yeah.
gym, and all of a sudden, I could do my old weight again.
It's not just emotional
No.
and mental. Like it is physically, your body just
Yes.
like stops and goes,
Yes.
No, we need a break.
I was just like
Um,
shocked when like me and my husband were at the gym and I lifted a weight and I was just like, wait a second, I can lift it again? I can legit lift it
yeah.
again.
Yeah, if you're in the mood for that kind of slightly lonelier, slower farming game, Wanderstop I think you would really enjoy its narrative stuff.
Yeah.
And also that slower pace is built into things a little more. Like there is story to be, even if you're not like progressing the farming, there is story happening
Yes.
so that like you get some reward for slowing
Yeah.
down.
I think what I realized with one Lonely Outpost, because I think if I were to push through, I think this would have been a good game. But I think sometimes that if you are an indie developer, you sometimes get so intrigued of making something that is your vision in the form of like, I want to try and use these things. I want to try and make it with these things. And you might not have the end user in mind. And that is okay. Like, it's okay. But then you can end up having problems like I did, where I will just give up because I can't feel the vision the developer had. And
I feel like it is totally okay to make a game that some people are going to get annoyed by and not stick with.
Yeah.
Like my one of those I always think of is of Time and Stars, I think it's called, which is an RPG about time loops.
Mm-hmm.
And that game, narratively, it's really important that you are repetitively doing the same thing over and over and getting like quite stuck in the mundanity of that time loop. But I know that a lot of people are going to go, this game is wasting my time and annoying me, and put it down. And as long as you know you're making that choice as a creator, I think that's valid.
Yes. But at something with this game, without being able to know the developer at all, felt like that was not the point. Because the story actually seems to be really fun. It feels like it has somewhere in the line forgotten of what it actually felt like playing it for the first time, not knowing that the reward will come. So yeah, I wonder if like ever I have some downtime, I will try it again, but we will see. I did also get my husband to play Split Fiction.
Oh, have you both been enjoying it?
Yes, we had a date night. He drank beer, I ate fruit. We had like a wonderful time, and oh my god, I have the funniest clip of us when we were a pig, and he farting away in the background as a pig while I'm just looking at my snout.
It's such a charming game, isn't it?
It's so brilliant. I like, and we laughed like belly laugh. Like it, as a
Yeah.
32-year-old woman, I can't say that that often get like belly laugh anymore, where you like,
Mm,
it hurts your tummy, and both of us did it, and it's also at the same time a beautiful game. So
yeah.
absolutely recommend people to test it out. Again, one thing we didn't talk about last time that I actually learned from another podcast was that if you play this with no, not split screen, if you play this cross platform,
Cross-platform,
yeah,
yeah.
everybody gets the input options in their controller. And I
Yeah.
think that is so cool. Like, there is the small things, but for somebody like me, that is really,
Hmm.
really important. Those small cognitive things are really, really important.
I did not know that. That's really cool.
It's really, really cool. And the last thing I want to like talk about is a game I have been playing with my friend gang. I have like a Discord gang I often hang out with, and that is
Mm,
R.E.P.O. R.E.P.O. And it's
yeah.
a small indie game. The concept is that you're robots. You're going to go and get things in houses that is valuable and bring them back. But the problem is that in the houses there are monsters. So if you have ever played Lethal
Mm,
Company, it's this sort of the
yeah.
same deal. And you can't fight the monsters. You either have to, some of them you have to be quiet when they're around, some of them you have to not look at them, some you don't have to touch them. There is nothing you can do, but you have to hide and figure out, like, how are we going to do this? And the absolutely amazing thing with this game is that you play it with, you can hear each other. But as farther you are away from each other, the less you can hear each other. And if you are 2 rooms
Mm,
away, you cannot hear each other. So
yeah.
it's a funny game of like, oh, have everybody else died now? Do I just have to run back home? Maybe somebody is survived. What can I do? And you have to communicate and have fun. And it brings out laughter. It is really good. But one thing, the reason why I wanted to talk about it and like actually highlight it is because this is still early access, and I think it is an indie game. And it has
Mm,
actually text to speech that works okay. And it also has so many options, like legit so many things they have thought about. Sadly, it does not have controller support yet, but it has like,
mm,
you can take away a screen shaking, you can take away like blooming on the side, you can take away like aberrations, you can slide everything single sound in the game, you can slide the other people's sound, you get an easy map to understand what to push whenever you need that. There is tutorial. There is so many things put into this game just to make it comfortable for you to play. And again, I am always so impressed that horror games are the one who understands
how?
this. Like, where is that from? Like, the one who wants to torture you, they're doing it nicely.
Yeah.
And I am impressed. And as somebody who likes that, like those kind of game, I really, really wanted to try to shout them out. They deserve it. So, GG on that.
Oh.
But the game of the week has
Oh.
absolutely been Assassin's Creed Shadows. It is finally out.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit about this because I did not expect that this was going to be this was going to jump up my list of stuff to talk about until you messaged me about
Yes.
it. So I've talked on this show before about the fact that like I don't play a lot of Ubisoft games for work. Mainly, I made a choice a few years ago not to play a lot of their games because of the fact that like there were reports of abuse from upper management in the company that reportedly conditions for the average worker have not really improved there in the years since, and that is unfortunate.
Yes.
But as someone that covers accessibility, at least once a year there is a game that Ubisoft publishes where I go, I can't not play this. I have to I have to pay attention to
Yep.
this. Um and Assassin's Creed Shadows is one of those ones that not only do I have to pay attention to just because it's like doing really good stuff for accessibility, but on a personal level, I kind of freaked out about it.
Yep.
So the short version, for about 4.5 years now, I have been trying to pitch something publicly and like when consulting with developers as a feature I would love to see. Um, and this tracks back to years ago. Marvel's Avengers had a scene, I talk about this all the time, where Kamala Khan and Bruce Banner are sat in a car, and Kamala Khan is deliberately slurping a drink to try and annoy Bruce, and Bruce is like rolling his eyes in exasperation back at her. And that scene was subtitled with explanations of the non-verbal subtext that was
Yeah.
happening of that no dialogue being shared scene, and I thought that was great. Um, and I've been a big believer of like being transparent about emotions that are being conveyed in something other than words, be it tone of voice or mannerisms. It would be a really cool step forward for the industry to
Yes.
properly take. And Assassin's Creed Shadows has a settings option in the subtitles called emotion subtitles,
Yes.
and it's what it sounds like. It's a toggle. If you choose to turn it on, a little thing will come up next to the name of the speaker if you've got speaker names on, that tells you just a one-word description of the intended emotional tone of the delivery of that line of dialogue.
Yes.
Um, and like, this is great for a lot of reasons. Like, outside of my own love for it, it's great if you're someone who's like having to play with the sound off and is not hearing the
Hmm.
dialogue performance. If you're someone who is deaf, if you are someone who the voice acting isn't in your native language,
Yes.
and
That
you
was
as
what I
such
was
might
going to
not.
talk about because I use it
Yeah,
because their Japanese is a realistic Japanese, not anime Japanese, where
yeah.
normally when I listen to anime, they like up everything they say. They exaggerate.
Hmm.
What is that word?
Yeah, exaggerate.
Yes, thank you. Everything they
Yeah.
say to convey it. But they don't do
Hmm.
this because they're supposed to be real humans just talking. So sarcasm,
Yeah.
snark, and stuff is so tiny because that is how it is in other languages. And it was so useful. It was so
Yeah.
useful.
And then to get to me being excited, as an autistic person, I
Yes.
struggle with being certain about a tone of voice at the best of times, even in my own language. It was so nice to just have this little bit of reassurance of I understand how that line is supposed to
Yeah.
be delivered. That I'm definitely reading that correctly.
I have
Um,
I had a lot of people in my chat that are now neurodivergent of some kind saying the same thing.
yeah. I was so excited to see it there. It's not perfect in its
No.
execution. There's a few things I have talked about. You currently can't have the emotion tags on unless the speaker tag is on.
Oh.
If you turn off the speaker tag, the emotion tag vanishes. You have to have them both, um, which is like not ideal. And I would really love it if you had the option to like have a bit more spacing to separate the emotion tag, or some option to like highlight it in a color or something,
Yeah.
so that when scanning the line, like the potentially speaker name, emotion, and dialogue, something that I could just glance and go, oh, red, that's the emotion, and like spot it
Yeah.
quickly. um and this is less of a complaint, but this is more of just of a I can see where the future of this could go, and I want to advocate for it. Is this game also has audio descriptions for cutscenes,
Mhm.
and those audio descriptions describe the non-verbal subtext of interactions. The audio descriptions will, describe things like, oh, he looks at this other person and then looks back in resignation.
Yep.
That is written for the audio descriptions. I still really want to see a game that does something like emotional subtitles include those lines that they've written for audio description that pertain to that look means this,
Yep.
and put them into have an option to put them in text on screen.
Yes.
Which I think Ubisoft like has all the tools that they could do it now, and I would really love to see them.
And And the good thing is that it
Yeah,
seems like a lot of people are really, really happy about this. Like, this isn't just something people are just, oh, well, people are talking about this. This has gone the rounds on TikTok and Reels and YouTube Shorts and YouTube and Twitter and Blue Sky everywhere. I've seen people talk about it, not just us. And
yeah,
this means that this is something people want. And as you said, like, yes, it's an extremely good tool for people who are neurodivergent
yeah,
and might struggle with understanding things like that. But it's also a same importance when you're just reading the text. There
yeah,
is a reason why books says he said snidely, she
Yeah.
thought questionably. Like, there is a reason why
Yeah.
we add these things, because text misses a lot of interhuman
Yeah.
communication.
And I think that's like I recognize this probably wasn't done for neurodiversity. Like this probably exists for deaf players, I suspect,
You
in
think
that
so?
it serves I think so, because I think what it's doing is it's serving a very similar role to when Forza Horizon 5 had British Sign Language interpreter support as
Yeah.
an option other than subtitles, because that allows deaf players to get some of the emotion
Yes.
communicated that like subtitles alone don't do. I think this is probably aimed at meeting a similar need,
Okay.
but I want to believe it's because like at least in part because of the neurodiversity stuff. Because like I have no proof of this, but I've been shouting about this for years, and I want to believe someone heard and someone did something because it makes me so happy that this exists.
Yeah, I can
And even if
imagine.
not, and even if nothing else, this existing is going to make it so much easier to argue this for neurodiverse reasons
Yes.
when consulting on future games. It's like I
Yes.
can at least point to a game that deliberately did this and it was well received.
And also, I think this is geniusly way also for, as you said, with language barriers. And
Hmm.
it is something also about, like, sarcasm aren't conveyed the same in every language. Like,
Yeah.
if you're learning a new language, it is really, really hard to understand those small things, especially when it comes to sayings. Because
Hmm.
sayings are often things that have been once in a lifetime, maybe 50 to 100 years ago, it made sense. But it's been
Yeah.
shortened and shortened and changed and shortened so many times
Hmm.
that it does not make sense anymore. Like, I, for a longest time, did not understand what people meant with bee's knees. Like, these are like the
Yeah.
bee's knees. And I was just like, why are
Yeah.
you talking about bee's knees? I didn't even know bees had knees. And then my husband were just like, no, 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 honey, it's a shortening for business. And it's like,
Now, see, I
this is
I
good
did
and
I didn't know
excited.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I just assumed there was a reason why it meant good.
Yeah, like these are all things. And sometimes then it can be hard to understand what people are meaning, and I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I think it's just in general a good thing, and it's also just a brilliant way.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't always think they hit the mark. I sometimes think
Mm.
they use words that I don't agree with. This is the emotion that is conveyed now. Um, but hey, what do I
Well,
know?
I mean, uh, I've been having some conversations with people about this, and my suspicion is that those bracketed words are probably the words that are used in the voice acting script to tell the voice actor what kind of delivery to give the
Oh,
line with. I don't know that for a fact, but when someone said that, I was like, that would make a lot of sense
yep,
if it was acting directions reused as tone tagging. And there's always going to be a degree of interpretation
yes,
involved. I think it's important that they're keeping the emotional descriptions to a single word
yes,
because of the like you don't want to slow down that like add more stuff to read in amongst an already kind of cluttered subtitle section, but a single word is always going to have limitations as to quite how accurate it can be. But I would rather the best word that they could find than not having a word there.
yep. Uh, and this game in general has been like really accessible. It's I heard a lot of people saying like this is a 5 out of 5. We've never seen this being this accessible for um any Assassin's Creed game before, and I do agree. Like, there is so many good things in this game. Just
Mm,
to like mention some of them is like, in the control settings you have actually, they show the controller, not only just have it on a list, but they
mm,
show the controller so you easy can see it and illustrate it easier for you.
mm-hmm.
They have like double click to auto run.
Yeah,
They have difficulty mode that you can actually customize to some
yeah.
degree. They have canon mode, which is something we have never seen in any RPG before, which is just like the game choose for you. So the game does the intended storyline. So whenever somebody writes a RPG, there is an intended story to get from A to Z, and what the developers have chosen to be the quote-unquote correct way. And
I don't even know if correct is quite the right word, but it's like, hey, do you get choice paralysis about decision making? We will select a set of choices that we think will be a good, satisfying story for most people.
Yeah,
and it will just do that for you.
I saw somebody describe it as being in the line with a character they had written. So when they wrote the character, this is what they imagined them to be saying. This is how they imagined them to be acting without you, as you normally do in a role-playing game where you put your emotions on top of the character. The only bad thing about it is that it cuts out some things for you, like you can't romanticize anyone if you do this. And there are some side quests that you get like locked out of, but you can turn it on and off in games, so like you can go for it whenever. They also have this where you can just tap one setting and the whole map just gets locked up and everything is shown. It's really, really cool.
Do you not want to have to go to NPCs and get clues about where to go? Do you want just like a bunch of dots on the map? It's like, here's all of the things.
Yes, here's everything. You don't need to go to the waypoints. You don't need to open everything. Everything is just open. But be aware, and it's just really written out, if you do this, this is now for the rest of the game. Like, you cannot go back and close it off again. So if you do this, this is a one-time thing. There are, though, I have some things that I don't like with the game when it comes to accessibility. And I am writing this again in YouTube, since I'm back on a YouTube train. Like, I don't like how dark this game is. I understand it's called Assassin's Creed Shadow, and you can put up like the contrast and brightness, but to be honest, I don't have the best screens either, not the best TV screen and not the best PC screen, and I actually struggled. Whoa, it's actually been sunny in Norway for the couple last week, so wow, that's that's amazing. We never get sun. So, but of course things like that does affect it, but I struggled. If I don't follow the path of the game and I for some reason end into a bush, I cannot see what is happening on screen. And yes, I can put like the contrast down and the brightness up, or the other way, I can't remember, and I can do that, but then daytime come and it's really, really sharp on your eyes. I wish they had a more better system for that, and understanding that yes, it is called Assassin's Creed Shadows. You are I can't remember what it's called, but like shinobi, there we go, and you're supposed to like hide in the shadows and stuff, but this is the fine line between realism and quality of life in a game, and I think that they are missing the point of quality of life. Like, we have eagle vision. Realism isn't part of Assassin's Creed, like technically it is, but it technically isn't. So I don't know. I think that I would love to see them fix that somehow, or have like a way where you could say, this is the contrast and brightness I want in nighttime, this is the contrast and brightness I want in daytime, and then it actually automatically just removes you in between those two. I would love to see that. Other things, like, which are really, really small, and these are like things that we talk about the level of accessibility this game is on, because it annoyed me, and like, it shouldn't annoy me, but it did, and that says how good it is. Because when you're in the setting, first and foremost, they don't have an accessibility setting option. I would prefer they had that, because then I know where everything that has to do with accessibility is. But also, if you go into a setting and you go into an under menu, so which takes you over to another screen, and you go back, it puts you on top of the option list again. And that annoys me.
I get it. It's very much a personal preference thing, and I understand the annoyance.
Yes, because that is 8 more like clicks for me, and I don't have 8 more clicks in my arthritis hands. Uh,
And again, this is why it'd be nice to have an accessibility menu where, like, all the stuff is in the one menu and you're
yes.
not having to go menu back and forth trying to find it.
Yes. Also, I wish that like a lot of the world is built up on using like your scouts and everything around you, and
Mm,
you can send out. And for so many times, I actually have had to look up how to solve uh, quests, because
yeah.
what they do is that they don't show you where the person is. They say like, oh, these are like 3 to 5
Mm,
tips, and then you have to like figure sort of out how it is, or
yeah.
you get to an area and then you have to search that area. But again, because the game is so dark, a lot of times I just end up staying and waiting until daytime in game because I couldn't see
Yeah.
anything. And then, to be honest, I think sometimes that the quest marks and what is actually true in real life do not go cohesive. Like I had somebody say it's south from a mark, but it's actually not south from
Mm.
the mark on the map. It's south from the whole region. And I don't know. It's
Yeah.
confusing. I had to look up a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I am pulling. I am like being nitpicky now. Like I'm trying to find faults, and because I
Yeah.
think nothing can be perfect, and this is also for Ubisoft. You aren't perfect with this, but holy hell, you did good.
Yeah. There's definitely room for improvement in things like sightless playability and stuff like that, but like
Yes.
it there's a lot being done right here, and I
Yeah.
think it's worthy of praise for what
Yeah.
it is achieving.
And getting 2 million players in 2 days. GG, well deserved. GG, well deserved.
Right, shall we talk about some of the newsy bits that happened this week?
Yes, let's jump into it.
Let's start at the top of these. The Xbox Adaptive Joystick is out now,
Yes, it is. I have it here on the
and
screen.
I've got two of them here on the screen. You've had these around for a while.
I have.
I've had these since like maybe 4 or 5 days at the point that we're recording this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them. How are you feeling about them?
So, yes and no. So, I'm really really glad that this is cheap. I like just get
Mm,
that out of the way. So
yeah,
many accessibility stuff is way too expensive. This is dirt cheap.
yeah.
It
It's I think £25.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know what it is in other regions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
350 Norwegian kroners. It's cheap.
yeah,
It's cheaper than getting a regular controller. This is
yeah.
dirt cheap. And yes, please, thank you so, so much. And
Mm-hmm.
I would have made a fire if it wasn't like this, because this is, I've a lot of times said that I'm okay with price if it is from like a really, really small place, a really, really small
Yeah,
company. This is Xbox, Microsoft. They can have a low price. And they did. And I'm really, really happy about that. Um,
yeah.
but
Mhm.
due to it being so cheap, it needs to be wired all the time.
Yes. Yes, this was a decision that I talked to them at Gamescom last year about this a lot, and
Yes.
I did like I understand their reasoning. Their reasoning is we wanted to prioritize at all costs get it as cheap as physically possible because that is consistently a priority for disabled players.
Yeah.
And I said to them, I was like, "Yep, that is correct. It would be great if you also offered it wireless. We recognize it would be slightly more expensive. There's a lot of people who would really appreciate that."
Yeah. I think that I am okay with this, but I hope that we will get the wireless version and we pay
Hmm.
more for it in the future. I'm
So
okay with that.
yeah, so I'll talk about my position here as like as someone that already owns the Xbox Adaptive Controller,
Mhm.
I'm way less bothered by these being wired than I expected to be.
Yeah.
I think if I needed to be trailing two very lengthy USB cables all the way over to my Xbox across the living room, I don't think I'd be great on these. Um, but given that I can just have the Xbox Adaptive Controller on my lap, and that is a wireless controller, I've got two of these, and I can plug both of them in USB.
Yep.
Instantly, I do love that when you plug them into the Xbox Adaptive Controller, you plug one into the left analog stick USB port, And not only does it recognize that, like, it default to this is your left stick,
Yeah.
but it also defaults your bumper and trigger to L1, L2,
Yeah.
and your 4 face buttons to being the D-pad.
Yeah.
Same for the, if you plug it into the right port, it goes R1, R2, A, B, X, Y, and I'm like, that's great
It's
default
really
mapping.
cool. Yes.
This is my new default way to play Xbox games, and I can't go back. Two of these wired into an Xbox adaptive controller means that I can have my hands separated away from each
Yes.
other. It's the thing I wanted out of something like the ByoWave Proteus controller. And for all that the Proteus controller is great. I love that it can be changed and adapted and like really customized. The Xbox adaptive joysticks just feel right in my hands. I I haven't needed to customize them. For me, they feel really good as they are.
Yeah.
And I've really liked just having, I've got my two big buttons on my lap that I can map to things if I need to. I've got my Xbox button plus and minus on my lap. Otherwise, I'm just playing with split-handed controls, and this is the thing I've been really desperate for on Xbox, is to just be able to move my hands to more comfortable positions.
Yes, that is where I also agree. Like those are the
Mm.
pluses I also agree a lot with. But I
Mm.
also feel like that is from a perspective of some people that just have all of the setup from before.
Yeah.
Because I talked to somebody who only have one arm to play with, but they don't have all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And what I really don't like with this one is that, yes, it's missing two buttons, and that is like, or one button, and that is the Xbox button.
Yeah.
I
Is
just
the
want,
Xbox the start and the select?
yes, like one of those, because
Yeah.
how it is right now, you're so dependent on having another controller with you.
Yeah. Because the
Yeah.
thing is I look at this and I'm like, there is a little Xbox logo above the
Yes.
analog stick.
Yes.
That so easily could have been a button.
Yes.
To be like, okay, you have an Xbox button on each one of these, and I know it would slightly increase that cost a little bit again, but I think you if that was a button and you had one additional button maybe a little further down the handle that, on the left one defaults to being select, on the other one defaults to being start, you wouldn't need also to have either the adaptive controller or a standard Xbox controller to supplement those three buttons.
Yeah, or under the X3. That could also
Yeah,
just be under the
yeah.
X3. We could just have an
Yeah,
extra
yeah, that's
button.
what I mean. Is sort of, yeah, just a
Yeah.
little below X3, where like the 1 and 2 used to be on a Wiimote.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, it is a shame that a pair of these can't completely
Yes.
replace your default Xbox controller.
Yes.
And yeah, and I do think that like an Xbox adaptive controller and one of these is still going to be like more affordable than a lot of old, like, even a few years ago you'd have struggled to find an like option that cheap.
Yeah, 100%.
But it is still a case of like, it would be really good if there'd been an option to just go, I buy two of these and I don't need anything else.
Yeah, that is just what I want. Like I just get sort of, like having two of these is a lot, and then
Yeah.
also having to have the controller with you at any time, because this isn't actually a full system kind of deal. That annoys me a bit. I think that is that, and the fact that it needs to be wired are the two really, really big downside with it. But on the other hand, like using it, I have been loving using it. It has taken me some time building up thumb strength, and this is something I've talked about. We've talked about a bit about it before. Is the fact that technically, compared to a original controller, the joystick and the buttons are opposite. Where the buttons normally are above the joystick, and here they are below. And that has given me a lot of pain. A lot of pain, actually, because you're not used to it. And when you have a body that already gets affected by any single change, that does also affect me a lot. So it took me months to build up stamina to be able to use this without having serious arthritis problem from it. I think it's worth it, but I think it is important that people know if you have hand pain, this you need time. You need time to learn how to use this because it's so different from what we normally use. You have to stretch out your thumb a lot more than what we normally use. You don't have it like laying in that typical more relaxed place that normally a controller is. And having to take them down, you really, really, really need to flex your muscle to use the buttons. When you have learned yourself to handle that, it is really good, and I'm still using it, and I will still continue using it, but that's realism with it. So I don't understand why they did it. I saw a bit some pictures of like where they showed somebody who didn't have arm use it more with like their chin. So they had it on their shoulder and then used the joystick with their chin. And I'm wondering if that is like the big reason why they decided having the joystick on top instead of the button, because then
I think so.
Yeah.
Like it has a screw mount in the base, and
Yes.
if you have it on a screw mount on a tripod that's like straight up, the angle they have it means that the joystick will be sort of flat. So if you placed it below a chin, it would be flat below the chin.
Yes.
I think that is a big part of the reason for the positioning and the angling they've done, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And it has a sort of, as we said with we also talked about the the PlayStation Access controller, there will always be win and lose in everything we have. There is no one thing that fits everyone, but I just want people to know this so that you don't overuse it and the first week and then get actual serious problem from it. But other than that, this is really good. I found it to be really easy to fix. Like, one of the reasons why I also am missing an Xbox thing is because I need to get my other controller to go into the adaptive app, the Xbox accessory app, to change everything. So like I actually need to go back and forth a bit, because on the other controllers we have a profile button where we can change profile. We can't do it here. So you are reliant on doing a lot more changing if you can't use the whole controller, or if you only have one controller. But then again, I think this is lowering cost needs, and you win some, you lose some.
I'm glad that it's not perfect, but it's an additional option, and I'm so glad that we have more options.
100%, especially to the price. Especially to the price.
Other things we can very quickly touch on this week. Able to Play is out. You talked about this last time we recorded, this sort of database where you put in all your accessibility needs and preferences, and then you get a bunch of ratings for different games. I checked it out as well. I think it's a very interesting site, even if there is like clearly some room for it to grow still, but I think it's well worth checking out. I've got a video up on YouTube at Laura K Buzz about my thoughts on that. But it's out there now.
And also all the qualms I had last time, I have already looked into it, and a lot of them have been fixed. So this is like an active team that is really, really working on making things better, which is good.
It's very clear they're engaged in wanting to engage with community feedback on it. So 100%. I'm feeling positive. Next, and this is one of the big ones of this week, the Accessible Games Initiative got announced at GDC. As part of a panel that happened at GDC. The short version of this is Amazon Games, Electronic Arts, Google Games, Microsoft, Nintendo, Riot Games, Ubisoft, and PlayStation Studios, plus Square Enix and Warner Brothers Games, have all come together to basically try and create a set of accessibility tags similar to what you might see on the PlayStation or Xbox digital storefronts. The difference being that the 24 tags that they currently have are intended to be standardized, so that like every time a developer says their game supports insert feature, you as a player know what that means. And in theory, that like a particular set of criteria had to be met for that feature to get advertised. The idea is that like this is trying to build up a set of standards that can grow over time. Of when we talk about accessibility, these are the level of quality you need to hit to say you do a feature. and the words you should use so people reliably know what feature you're describing.
Yes.
And this is amazing.
It is. It is absolutely amazing. It is something we have been asking for years.
Yeah.
And also to see company like on one side, you have companies like Ubisoft and EA making me really ensured that like this is actually something that is going to be good.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you have Nintendo. What?
What one of the tags that they're offering is playable without motion controls.
Yes.
On an initiative that Nintendo's on the committee for.
Yes.
That means someone at Nintendo is aware playable without motion controls is an important thing that we should maybe think about, and was in meetings about that. That's a great news to hear.
And I am shocked. This means that they know, like it, of course, well, they know, of course they know, but they have actually said that, like, now we can actually properly call them out, and people can't come and say, like, but they don't know, but they don't.
I will say, it is specifically Nintendo of America.
Yes, it is.
That has signed on to the initiative, and there is still room for, the differences between different regions, but in theory, Nintendo have put their foot forward to say we are getting behind an accessibility initiative.
Yeah.
As such, they clearly know enough that we're allowed to be critical, because like you are putting yourself in a position of saying we are part of steering the direction of accessibility in the industry. You got to be ready for the critique that is going to come with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm both happy and like I'm really, really happy for this. I'm just going to say that. But I am also a bit scared. I have to admit that I am scared. And it might be because I'm too afraid of being happy, because it's easy to be disappointed in this industry. But also because I fear that standardization makes the lowest common denomination always. That is why I previously have actually been quite against standardization, because I am afraid that this will make developers go, well, we have tagged 40 tags, so now we're accessible, and that's it. The story stops there.
I understand the concern.
Yes.
The two things that make me like not too worried about that is being part of this initiative does not require these companies to only engage with these tags.
Yes.
They're very clear about that, and like the point that's made in some of the documentation is like, hey, if you're, say, PlayStation and you have like 15 other tags that like aren't part of this initiative that you've joined, you can still have those as options there. But also, when we've got companies like Nintendo joining, getting them up to this list of 24 standards would be an incredible step forward for them.
Yeah, that's true.
And like, my thought is, as long as you keep slowly raising that bar, I think there are some companies that are only ever going to go, what is considered the standard, will do that.
Yeah.
And the kind of companies like your Ubisoft, EA, PlayStation, Xbox, who are making efforts to push things forward, I don't think this makes them stop pushing things forward.
No.
I think what this does is it goes, if you're the kind of company that's only going to do what's considered the standard, let's just keep slowly raising that standard one thing at a time and bring you up with us.
Yeah, like when standardization is good is if it's implemented thoroughly and continuously followed up. Because and also the reason why I think I'm also extra wary about this, but please, just for the record, I am mostly pleased. I want us to have this conversation because I think it's important. And that is because we have companies like Xbox Studio, which are one of the best when it comes to accessibility, tagging Avowed in their own store.
Yeah. But again,
2 weeks ago.
I mean, mistakes happen.
Yes.
I don't think, for me, that is not enough to take away the win of
no,
this.
No.
Yeah, like, I understand the concern, and if over time it seems like it's being misused and it's being used to stifle growth, I will obviously call that out.
Yeah.
Today I'm taking it as a win.
Yeah.
Because what it says is, if nothing else, it says, all of these companies, the vast majority of big AAA companies in the industry, got together, were able to agree on something with regards to accessibility, and were able to agree that coming together and working on something accessibility wise for the greater good was more important than individual company rivalries.
Yeah.
And that is a really good sign for things getting better as we go.
Yes, and also this is also actually maybe a bit of a promise to us as users that, hey, we're promising you that we care. And I feel like it almost can also, if it doesn't go good, actually be a tool to shout them out and go like, hey, you did this and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you have promised us. And doing this on a big scene, doing this in like a big,
Yeah.
they haven't just sneakily put it out, they have actually gone out with a bang.
Yeah.
And that is hopeful. That makes me hopeful as well, because then we can go like, if this happened, like with the Xbox thing,
Yeah.
after this has started to be an actual official thing that they've started with, then it would be so easier to go like, hey, Microsoft, you actually done goofed. Now we just can't blame one single person who just does a mistake in a system. We can actually go, hey, you promised this shouldn't be a thing, which is good. It's a win, and also a way we can hold people accountable for what they're promising us. That's good.
Agreed. Another great thing that we don't need to necessarily talk too much in depth on, but it's really nice to see. This kind of got buried in amongst some of the other accessibility news this week. Microsoft are really good at sharing their internal documentation about how they make things accessible, and they've done it again. They've publicly shared their Creating Accessible Packaging Guide, which is what it sounds like. It is their guidelines they've been using internally to design accessible packaging. And we kind of glossed over it when we talked about the Xbox Adaptive Joystick. You've had yours a while, so I don't know what your packaging situation was like, but the ones that I received like this past week, absolutely masterclass in accessible packaging. Easy to grab loops on anything that was sticking things down. Loops for lifting cardboard, no use of twist ties. Everything was easily recyclable cardboard and convenient loops for lifting things. And I'm really glad that Xbox is going like, just here's our advice on how to do this good. So yeah, other than that, we've got a couple of other quick ones we can rattle through. SteamOS now supports the ByoWave Proteus controller. This is sorry, yeah?
No, it's just cool. I'm looking forward. I still don't have my ByoWave, so I'm still missing it. And luxury problem. But that's so cool. I have a Steam Deck, and I really want to use it with my Proteus controller, because as for now, there is almost no other accessibility tools you can use with a Steam Deck. So this is really cool.
Indeed it is. Basically, what this means in real terms is the SteamOS is now packaged with Linux drivers to make the Proteus work. That's great. More ability to use accessibility controllers on more devices is wonderful. And lastly, Jennissary received the Bob Rice Recognition Award at the G.A.N.G Awards, the Game Audio Network Guild, for her extraordinary work in accessibility for an underserved community of players with visual or cognitive impairments.
Yes, I took this with us for this week's news because I want it to properly be a huge congratulations, and also a thank you so much for all the work you have done. I myself aren't your target target. Oh, it's late. Yeah, I'm normally not one who uses what Jennissary makes, but I see time after time people being so happy for all the work Jennissary does, and I'm really glad that they got the recognition they absolutely deserve.
Absolutely at the forefront of a lot of the really cool stuff happening in like audio descriptions and stuff at the moment, and absolutely a vital voice in pushing forward the rise in sightless accessible
Yes.
games this last couple of years, and it's so wonderful to see that be properly
Yes.
recognized.
And I hope this means that other she will get a lot more work, and also to inspire others to start doing similar work, because it is sorely needed. So I am just
Exactly.
glad. Yeah.
Let's get to a point where she's being offered more work than she can take
Yes.
on. There's too many
Yes.
people asking her to do
Yes.
cool stuff,
Yes.
right?
And then we have a million others that also can do it, because we need more. We need more people to do this kind
Exactly.
of work. So yeah. I think
So
that was
yeah,
it for this
I think
week.
so.
Yeah.
There we go. We just about got it all in under an hour.
Got it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching or listening to another episode of Control Alt Access. Arevia, where are you out on the internet if people want to find the things you're doing?
Oh my god, Laura, I'm back. What is
Yeah, you
this?
are. Oh.
Like half a year of me saying, I can't do anything, I am ill. I am actually back. You can find me everywhere online under the name Arevia, except for TikTok, because somebody stole my name. And there I am, Arevia Gaming. I'm at the moment streaming sometimes when I have something cool and accessible to showcase. You can always see on any social media I will post whenever I am planning to go live next, or my Discord. And I am back to my YouTube era,
Yeah.
and I'm making YouTube. And if you want to hear even more about Assassin's Creed Shadows or Avowed, go and check out my YouTube channel. But Laura, where can they find you?
I can be found at Laura K Buzz pretty much everywhere on the internet. I'm still playing through Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii over on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at about 10 p.m. UK. Plus whatever the time conversion is for other places. I've got videos about both Assassin's Creed Shadows and the new accessibility tags initiative up on YouTube. By the time this goes out, the final episode of Abletop, the board game accessibility series I've been doing with Carrie Waterton, episode 6 of that will be out, which is
Yes.
the final episode. Go check out all 6 episodes if you want like 6 hours of discussion of accessible board game practices. We're
Brilliant.
so proud of that series. Other than that, just Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all of the things I'm up to.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you very much everyone for listening. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks, which just a little preview forward, we'll probably be talking about the Switch 2 by then,
Yeah,
which
hope
is going
so.
to be interesting.
Hope so.
Let's find out if they say anything accessibility wise about it by then.
Maybe.
Thank you so much everyone for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.